There's just clubs everywhere. So we're very
Turn your head.
lucky.
Yeah.
We're very, very lucky that geographically where we're located and that we are supported by the New Jersey Club Management Association and the New Jersey Club Foundation, who without them, we wouldn't have a successful student chapter. There are so many fantastic managers within the club management industry right in our backyard that we have developed so many relationships with for our students in the club management field. So each semester, our students go on a field trip to a private club. And this is something that the Club Foundation supports. We tie it into our lessons here at the university and within the club management chapter, but also within our hospitality program. And it's all about bringing the students to the clubs, showing them a day out, what it's like to work at a club, what the environment is like, and for them to really see the industry and say, hey, I can see myself working here sometime. It may not be the club that we visit because it's all geography, it's all where they live and where the opportunity is, but it's for them to see like, hey, this is something different. This is different from maybe the restaurant in my local town that I went to with mom and dad, and maybe I'd love to work there one day, but no, hey, this is different. I can work here. So every semester I've taken students on field trip, and that's a big part of our program. And then we have different guest speakers that come in. And then also what we do is with the New Jersey Club Managers Association, we attend many of their events, and that gets the students out, gets them experiencing something different. Some of it could be in an event planning function, or we'll help with registration. We do the food and wine experience. The students have a fundraiser at that event, which helps us fundraise for World Conference. So it's like one of the biggest parts of our program because of all of the activities included in it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Private Club Radio Show podcast, the industry source for news, trends, updates, and conversations all in the world of private golf and country clubs. Whether you are a veteran of the industry or brand new and trying to learn or just seeing what this industry is about, welcome. You're in the right place. This is the show where we go over any and all topics related to private golf and country clubs. And by those, we mean city clubs, golf clubs, country clubs, athletic clubs, military, all the types of clubs. From food and beverage, governance, hospitality, management, leadership, we go over all the topics. We're like Baskin & Robbins. We got so many flavors over here. This is a fun episode. I chat with a friend of mine, Kane Pappas, who is a faculty member and does so much over at Farley Dickinson University. A lot of you know her. If you don't, you have to. You have to. You have to. You have to. What a wonderful, wonderful person. Does so much for the industry, for the school, for the students, and getting people, getting students, getting kids, getting people excited about private golf and country clubs. This episode, we talk about the Utes. All about the Utes. But we have a great chat. We talk about the challenges and opportunities faced by students in the industry right now. Talk a little bit about how the pandemic, even though it's, talked about a lot, but we talk about what happened with the school. What was the school doing what was the school doing a little bit during those times? That was a weird time for students. But really, she does, and we talk about how they're about bringing the students to the club, letting them experience, letting them get involved, get their hands dirty, let them experience what it's like to be at a club, because I think that's the best way to do it, really. And we also find out about Kane's passion for cars. Her and her husband have a car dealership called the Rad Collection. We talk about a little bit about that too. So we talk about personal stuff. We talk about professional stuff. It's a great episode. Kane's a ton of fun, and I'm excited for her to be on the show. And before we get to the show, just a quick little thank you to our show partners. We have Kennis Member Vetting. If you or your club is looking to enhance your member vetting process to fact-based member vetting, really, I'm pretty sure they're the best in the industry at what they do. And not every member's bad. We know all this, but it's about finding the ones that, look at some of the episodes we have on here. They find people's ghost accounts, people who put hate speech out there. You want these people as members at your club? Hopefully not. And that's just one of the things. Most people are really good, but I mean, if you're going to vet these people, if you're going to bring people into your world, into your tight knit community, you should do the best vetting there is. Head on over to membervetting.com, set up a call with Paul. Guaranteed, going to be worth it. We also have our friends, Concert Golf Partners, boutique owner operators of private golf and country clubs nationwide. If you or your club is looking to do some recapitalization, have no more assessments, things of the past, check out concertgolfpartners.com, set up a confidential phone call with Peter Nanula, and see where it goes. Always worth a conversation. And if you're looking at ways to get your club out there without advertising, you need to check out our friends, Golf Life Navigators, who have the coolest platform. It's Zillow meets eHarmony. They link up golf enthusiasts, people who enjoy the club and golf space. They link them up with their dream club, their dream house. This algorithm does it all. It spits out the information, lets them know where their dream club is. And if you would like to be on their platform, head on over to golflifenavigators.com. As always, with any of our show partners, mention you heard about them here, or reason why you're contacting is because of here. Tell them we sent you. They will hook you up. And as always, shameless plug for myself. If you or your club is looking for one of the most fun member events nights you are going to have, we have the Denny Corby Experience. Magic, mind reading, comedy, crowd work. It is a blast. It's a whole evening experience, starting from the moment they get in for the event until they leave. It's a great time. Interested in learning more, head on over to dennycorby.com. And with that, let's welcome Kane Pappas. You've been at Farley Dickinson for how long?
Gosh, I've been here for 8 years, but approaching 20. I was a student here about 20 years ago. I started in the fall of 2004, and I've been lucky that I've been full circle. I've been connected to the university for 20 years.
And what got you started in, the hospitality, sports, tourism? Like what got you into this whole world? What roped you in, Kane?
Yeah, from the student perspective, long time ago, the excitement of the industry. I'm from New Jersey. There's plenty of opportunity. I was a lost college student like many of them that are out there. And I really didn't know that hospitality and tourism management was a major, right? You go to college, you're like, oh, I'm excited to explore the world. And then you discover this fascinating industry. You're like, hey, I can work in an industry like that. I can work in an industry where I'm not in a cubicle, where I don't have to go to the office every day. And I met really fantastic professors who led me into really awesome internships. And that's where the story begins. I worked with Aramark, the food service management company, as an intern, which boosted a career for me. And during that career, I came back to FDU to start my master's degree. And then upon finishing the master's degree, an opportunity opened up within the university. And I jumped on it. I said, I want to be a part of the university that gave me so much and give back to my students. So I started as an adjunct, worked as a staff member, and then now I'm full-time faculty. And it's an awesome journey here within higher ed.
What was your start at Aramark like? What were some of your positions and things there?
So I was an intern, just like many of our students are now. I worked at the Meadowlands Racetrack. Not the new Meadowlands Racetrack, the Meadowlands Racetrack.
Oh.
I'm old school.
I'm sorry, you just saw my face go, like that.
Yeah, the Meadowlands Racetrack was a fantastic experience. And I give this advice to students is you have to build your own path. I started as a server. I saw an opportunity and I asked HR almost every day for a month or two for an internship opportunity. And they created one. And I was a rotational intern with sports and entertainment within Aramark. And then that led me to go over to Giant Stadium for football games. Once the summer ended, I worked at Giant Stadium, the original Giant Stadium also, not MetLife. So it was fantastic to say that I was there for Giant Stadium. And then, being a fan, or yesterday, graduation was at MetLife Stadium. So that's a big part of where we are, being in northern New Jersey. And then best job from there, I went to the PNC Bank Arts Center with Aramark, working in safety. So I was their safety manager. So my job was to make sure that every part of the pavilion, all of their stands, their beer stands, their main kitchens, their hot dog stands was compliant for the health department to come in. And I worked with alcohol compliance, food safety, sanitation, and I got to listen to the best concerts and be in like the most exciting environment. And that was all during my senior year of college, and then the summer after. And I was like,
This
I
is
knew I was hooked
bonkers.
in the industry
You were
so
living
long
the
ago,
life. Your friends
so
were
long
so
ago. But
jealous.
it led me to then have a career within Aramark. I worked in then higher education. I worked at St. Thomas Aquinas College, the Juilliard School, and Drew University in food service operations, and then started at the university about after 9 years with the company.
That's
And
awesome.
the rest
Well,
is
because you
history.
bring so much experience and a wealth of knowledge, and you can show these students that there's a way. Like this is something. Like this is what I did. You can do this too.
Thank you. I think that's really important for students to see that you can start anywhere and it's what you make of it. It's putting in your time, right? It's being in an industry, working hard, making those connections. Without any of my connections and volunteering and saying like, "Hey, I want an internship and I'll do the next thing and yeah, I'll work on that project." I didn't get to the next part in my career without being present. And I tell that to students all the time when they're the last semester before graduation and they're looking for a job and they're saying, "Hey, I'm getting some interviews or I don't know what I want to do." And I say, "You know what? You're going to land that job. You have to be present. You're not fully available yet. Keep planting that seed and all the cards will fall once you are fully available." Your goal right now is to cross that finish line, right? To make it to that stage on graduation day, and then success will come after that. Part of mentoring students and really walking them to graduation, right? That's the goal, is to get them there.
Who were some of your mentors?
So I've had really fantastic mentors in my career, both within the university and outside of the university. One of my mentors, I think of her often. She was involved in CMAA. She was a professor at Farley Dickinson University, and she took me under her wing as an undergraduate student, and kept me going and led me to where I am today. And then I've had some really great leaders in the workplace, both with Aramark and then presently at Farley Dickinson University. And I see their success by working hard and just always putting the university or the mission first. And then I like to follow that lead as well.
What were some of the lessons and takeaways like that your leaders and mentors have taught you?
So some lessons, definitely being authentic, and that's something that I like to teach my students as well, that it's okay to be on and be authentic, both in the workplace and then in your personal life as well. And it's okay to share some of those passions. And that's something that I'm doing with my students as well. And that's where the cars come in, for example. We do not have automotive studies or motorsport studies in our curriculum. That's not part of our program, but it's a passion of mine. And I love sharing that with my students. And that's just being authentic. That's just saying like, "Hey, I'm a professor, but you know what? On the weekends, I'm at a car show. And if you want to come, you want to learn about cars, just give me a call. You can come along with me."
Um, so you've been at the university a while, but full term about 8 years, which kind of to me now, like I'm just thinking from my point of view, that's like pre-pandemic to now post-pandemic. What have you seen in terms of the students, maybe the engagement, what have you seen, the before and after? What's that kind of been like?
That's been wild. So props to the class of 2024 because they started online. They finished high school and they started college online. So
Hospitality, if anything, too, which is a very in-person people thing. That's got to be very difficult to do online.
very difficult. So and that's, we're not a fully online program, right? Like we're all about being out there. We're all about being at the clubs, hotels, restaurants as much as we can and taking our students outside of the classroom, right? That's what we do in a hospitality and tourism management program. So pre-pandemic, higher education wasn't challenged the way it was during the pandemic. So I would say business as usual. Students came to college looking for a 4-year experience, looking for on-campus life. They worked hard. They had part-time jobs. They were involved in clubs and activities, but they weren't pressured the same way as the challenges now of having to balance it all. So COVID or working online changed the student experience where the students were studying online and everything was online. So they were relying on social media to communicate. They were having their classes on Zoom. They weren't meeting in the office with professors. They were just in this virtual world, which for some, they excelled and they found activities outside of the university. Others were just very focused on the computer screen, and I think they had a hard time adjusting to college when they came back or when they came on campus. Now that it's a couple of years later, we're back to in-person activities, field trips, and really emphasizing like the importance of like being there, being present, being authentic, and engaging with each other, because these students did lose quite a bit.
2 years. I
Like a
mean,
couple
about
of
how
years.
long? So how long before this you and the school started doing field trips and picking back things up again? How like was that into 22 at this point? 21?
21, I think we started doing a few things. We were doing some hybrid courses, which were very challenging, because there were some students that were living on campus and wanted that campus experience still. So we would come to campus to teach the classes for students who wanted to come, but it wasn't mandatory. So it would be weird because we would come to campus and then we'd see students living on campus, like in the cafeteria taking the class when they should have been in the classroom. But you couldn't really do anything about it because we were like figuring it out. It's
Wait,
just a weird time.
wait. So instead of going to the class, they would still leave their room, just go someplace else to be in the
Just,
class?
yeah, they just wouldn't come to the classroom. It's just a really weird time that I don't think we're going to go back to in terms of like the flexibility that we were allowing, because
Yeah.
we just didn't know, you know, what to do. It was all like, for me, like it's all about the student experience and putting that student first, and no matter what the situation is. So if we had the opportunity to be on campus hybrid and one student showed up, like I was there for it. That's the goal, is to impact that student. But it's not like that at all anymore. So we're back to a regular environment, a pre-COVID environment, with the emphasis of experiential learning and having our students be at as many locations as possible and meet as many individuals that they can to expand their network, or really to build their network. They're here. That's what college is all about, right? Is to build that network and find the way. So I couldn't do it without all of my industry partners, because that's what we rely on to deliver the student experience.
Has you and the school or maybe even the program learn and adapted and now do things differently or change things for the better because of that scenario, that you've, had to now do different things, but you now see that it's actually a little bit better or things work a little bit more smoothly? Is there anything like that that may have happened?
So, yeah, there were some positives in terms of higher education and online learning. We've absolutely learned how to teach online better, engage with students online. So I'd say before the pandemic, when we were forced to be online, there were classes that were online, but we knew they existed, but we didn't really embrace them the way that we do now, where students can have an excellent learning experience online. And it's all based on how the course is set up. So what we at say higher education globally has learned is that we can meet the student where they are in different ways, and that doesn't necessarily mean in the classroom. That classroom can still be assignment based, online, and managed with deadlines that the students are learning. I did have a course that I always taught in person, and it was a lot of writing, but the in-person classes I thought were very important to meet with the student, to follow them through their journey of doing the research and preparing their final report. But that class, I did move online to a fully asynchronous format, which was just assignment based. I gave the student, I assigned them a leader, I assigned them different topics, and they conducted the research. And I found that they really benefited from it by doing it on their own pace, by still meeting the deadlines, because the outcome was the same. They learned what they needed to learn about different elements of leadership and the management and the manager that they were studying, and they were able to produce their paper. It lost some of the human elements of being online and getting to know the student and being with them in like that mentorship way, but it absolutely met the deliverables of what they needed to accomplish. So in cases like that, that helps students in different parts of their school career meet them where they are. So we've had students working full time, seeking to finish their degree, and they could take classes like that, and they're still having the same outcome, the same experience. And then for other students, it just gives them a little bit more flexibility where they can focus on this class as needed, and then they're in class other times. Because a lot of our students do work part-time, full-time, and they're balancing so much. So online education has allowed us to be a little bit flexible in that case.
What's the market? I don't know if market's the right word, but what's the what's the market? What's the climate like out there now? So for the ones who just graduated, as compared to, let's just say, graduating in 2019, what's that? I was trying to think of, like, 4 years, 2020, now they're graduating, so thinking about from that way, what maybe sort of challenges, struggles are students maybe facing now that weren't as much of a struggle or anything maybe back in like 2019? And yeah.
So the job market is good for students as it was in 2019. A lot of leads coming for them. So it's funny because you do mention 2019. So when we're studying specifically like hospitality and tourism numbers, we love to look at 2019 numbers and
Really?
then current
That's
numbers.
fun.
And that's our goal, is to, if we've surpassed 2019. So in 2019, students are full college experience, prepared students for work, and then they went on into their internships. We're absolutely seeing that now in 2024, that students are completing their summer internships while in college, and then they're walking out of graduation with either the job that they had their senior year or that job that they're planning on starting in a couple of weeks because they went through the final interviews during their last semester of senior year. So we're seeing that same trend, which is very positive, that our students are extremely employable. Hospitality is a high demand occupation, and we're preparing our students for supervisory and management careers within the hospitality industry. And then if you speak about what happens with the class of 2020 and 2021, it was very frightening. They didn't know what to do because our industry was so strongly impacted. However, tying it into club management, those years, the clubs were excelling. Everyone wanted to be active, right, as a member of their club. They were going to their club instead of going on vacations because they weren't traveling. And our students, which they still are, but we're absolutely thriving. We're students in 2020, 2021, 2022 were easily, and this is for club management across the board, we're seeing plenty of job opportunities in the club management field where the other fields were crashing. So that was something that we are thankful for, is that club management really thrived in terms of internship and job opportunities throughout the pandemic, which is years ago. It feels like years ago, right? It's old news.
But also not. It's so strange right now. Like, I think right now is that like pivot point. I think like once we get to like 25, then it's like, oh, okay, now, yeah, now it's still like, oh, that 4 years. So now, speaking of clubs and CMAA, how long have you been associated with the, inside of this sort of world?
Yeah, I've been the faculty advisor for 6 years. It's been a really fun journey. I've seen so many students go into club management and remain in club management. And I've really gained a lot of great professional contacts, relationships within the club management industry, which I appreciate greatly. And it's a big part of our program at the university is club management.
How so?
So we're fortunate in New Jersey where we are that there are so many
One or
clubs
two clubs
nearby.
around?
There's just clubs everywhere. So we're very
Turn your head.
lucky.
Yeah.
We're very, very lucky that geographically where we're located, and that we are supported by the New Jersey Club Management Association and the New Jersey Club Foundation, who without them, we wouldn't have a successful student chapter. There are so many fantastic managers within the club management industry right in our backyard that we have developed so many relationships with for our students in the club management field. So each semester, our students go on a field trip to a private club. And this is something that the Club Foundation supports. We tie it into our lessons here at the university and within the club management chapter, but also within our hospitality program. And it's all about bringing the students to the clubs, showing them a day out, what it's like to work at a club, what the environment is like, and for them to really see the industry and say, hey, I can see myself working here sometime. It may not be the club that we visit because it's all geography, it's all where they live and where the opportunity is, but it's for them to see like, hey, this is something different. This is different from maybe the restaurant in my local town that I went to with mom and dad, and maybe I'd love to work there one day, but no, hey, this is different. I can work here. So every semester I've taken students on field trip, and that's a big part of our program. And then we have different guest speakers that come in. And then also what we do is with the New Jersey Club Managers Association, we attend many of their events, and that gets the students out, gets them experiencing something different. Some of it could be in an event planning function, or we'll help with registration. We do the food and wine experience. The students have a fundraiser at that event, which helps us fundraise for World Conference. So it's like one of the biggest parts of our program because of all of the activities included in it.
Funtivities.
Funtivities, yes. We're the fun major. That's what I tell people. We're the fun major on campus because of
and I always tell
what
people
we
like
do.
clubs are adult playgrounds. Like, how do you not have fun like at your club? People go there to golf, pickleball, tennis, like you name it, like all the sports, all the fun. It's events, it's dinner, drinks, wine. Like it's the best of the best. It's an adult playground. It's a more fun Dave
Absolutely.
and Buster's.
That's a good one. But it absolutely is. And I think the students, time after time, they see that. So we'll bring them, I can say like calendar year wise, we'll start with the golf outing. For most of them, it's the first time they're ever on a golf course. We're not actually golfing. We help with the registration. We help with the prizes. We spot hole-in-ones. So the students will be on a golf cart. They're out on the green. They're spotting the hole-in-ones, and they're just like experiencing something different that they didn't either see in their hotel internship or the restaurant internship. And they go like, hey, this is really cool. Like maybe I could do this someday, work in a club. And then we progress throughout the season. So then in the fall, we have the food and wine experience. So we receive donations. Our students and we run around receiving these donations. And then we have the fundraiser. We sell the product at the event, and we utilize that for our World Conference travel. But that has students, traveling to a club often to pick up a donation, which is a challenge for some of them, right? I'm like, hey, this is what you have to do. You have to go and say hello. Like it's prepping them. They're 18-year-olds. Like it's just prepping them to do something that was like fine for us to go pick something up. And then come to the event and be on time, dress in your professional attire because you're at an event with professionals. They're like, okay, what can I wear? They'll like ask me like, is this okay? Is this club attire? So it's prepping them, these are the rules. Like, yes, you can wear this. No, you can't wear that. No jeans, like things like that they have to learn what to do. And then it builds, and we'll have different guest speakers that come in, and then we'll attend. So the lucky students who they earn points based on their involvement within the club management chapter, they get to go to the World Conference. So that's something that we love.
A treat.
It's a treat. They've earned it. So the students who work in a club, attend many of these events, are involved in the chapter, they earn their points. And then the points turn into your spot to earn a spot to conference. So they have to work for it. And that's how we get them to World Conference.
That's got to be amazing to be. And I can't imagine being 18, 19 and just starting to learn about clubs. And all of a sudden now you're in Vegas with 4,000 plus other club professionals, just like, oh, this is, Because I think, it's one thing to learn about it in school and go to a club and see a speaker, but to be around 4,000, not like, some events might have 200-300 max, and that's like a lot, but to go and have thousands of people, that's got to be so eye-opening. Are
It
there
is.
ever,
Nothing beats the opening ceremony at World Conference. Nothing. We
do
were
you ever have
there.
students that show up and go, I think I'm out? Like, this is not for me.
No, I've been pretty lucky with my group of students because they've earned that spot. So they've worked hard for it. They know
Yeah.
me, I know them. But it's really a hook for a lot of them. I've had students go multiple times as a student and they can't wait to go now as a full-time club manager. They're waiting for that opportunity. Maybe it'll be this year, maybe it'll be next year, that's depending on their schedule at work and how that works. And then I have a lot of students who go and then they're like, I just love this and I know this is for me. So this year I had 3 students that attend. They're working in clubs this summer. And that's what it's all about. It's about bringing them to the industry, right? Showing them the industry and then them saying like, yeah, that's it. Because they're getting a lot of offers thrown at them. A lot, right? Everyone needs interns. Everyone needs good employees. That's what we're seeing. So they're like, I have.
Yeah, if you go to a conference and don't leave with some opportunity, there's something wrong. Like you were in your room, you were purposely not doing anything if you left. Because even the managers, when you just see a student badge or you see the group, like people are just like attracted to them. It's like, oh, like just the energy, the connections. It's, people want to help, they want to be a part. And
it's an amazing, it is such an amazing industry. I'm so thankful for the Club Management Association of America and what they've built and that we're a part of it because it absolutely complements what we do at the university. And like, there's just nothing like it. It's fantastic. And talk about the CCMs. Did you know the New Jersey Club Managers Association just had 5 CCMs? 5 of our managers just last week received their CCM.
Yo, Jersey's killing it.
Yeah.
The school,
and
the students,
all of those,
the managers.
All of them have hosted a field trip for us in the past, 6 years.
So if you want your CCM, host a field trip. No,
I think that's it. I'm host enough to you.
Just host it, and they'll just sign it off to you. You're just in.
That just shows the engagement that the managers have, that they're so invested in the students and the student education. And they're the club managers themselves are so invested in their own education, what they went through to receive their CCM, years of the BMIs and going through in their study sessions and what they've done to accomplish it. I am so proud of them for what they've done.
It's
and
so
I hope
much work.
To see more, so much work.
And it's nice that they recognize the students and the work and the good ones. And it's smart not to, because if you see good talent, you're like, hey, if I can get them in here, it makes my job a lot easier too.
Yeah.
So it just helps the whole thing. Now let's go back. Cars. How long have you been in? Like, how long have you always loved cars? Like, tell me about cars.
Always love cars.
Classic cars, exotic cars, all cars.
Race cars, classic cars. So since I was born, let's just put it that way, always part of the car culture. 6 weeks old was my first race. That's what my mother told me. She said, I took you. Yeah, I was born in April, and I think in May she took me to the races when they started. So I grew up always being around motorsports. Loved it. I've always loved the industry. I do not race cars. I've never raced a car. I've also never worked in a club. So there you go. Just what I love both.
Kane's a sham, guys. We're out.
I never raced a car, but I've always been around cars. So race cars and then classic cars. The fun fact, my first car was a 1984 Monte Carlo SS.
Oh, snap.
Which is super cool still. It's rad. Now it's rad because rad is the car movement of the 80s and 90s cars. All cars that are from 1999 and older are classic. Most people probably didn't know that.
1999? Oh, God.
1999 was 25 years ago. So they're classic cars.
All right.
So it's interesting, to see the car culture evolving, changing. When we think of a classic car, you probably think of a 57 Chevy or those Corvette memes of, the C4, C5s and the gentlemen out there in their car clubs. But, that's part of car culture, but it's changing. There's so much that's out there within the terms of the 80s and 90s and even the 2000s cars. But 1999 and older is a classic car. So I've been in the car industry, not professionally working, but in it my whole life, from having classic cars as a first time driver. Yeah, first time driver with a classic car. That's just the way it rolled. And having that many milestones in my life, that car went to prom, car was at my wedding, car's going to be with me at my grand opening for my business. And, it's a staple of what I do is classic cars. So I do have a business in a used car dealership where I'm looking to build that brand of classic cars, the new classic car. But I see so much in the automotive event space. There's so many local car shows, major car shows, motorsport events, auto shows that I love it. I want to study it more and see where the future goes with that, because it's event management. It's just focused on automotive. There are a few car clubs. I'm very interested in them as well. Some of my New Jersey club manager friends know that when I see them, I'm like, hey, do you know any car clubs? Can you share any information with me? Just because I'm fascinated by it. There's clubs with apartments being built or housing developments being built in the car space, and some of them have racetracks.
Yep.
I haven't been, I'm just researching it and seeing. And then there's just classic car clubs of enthusiasts who are part of a private club with dining amenities out there. And then there's motorsports clubs, and these are private clubs. I've just touching the surface. I'd love to explore it more. As I see, it's like a niche opportunity to marry my two interests of club management and classic cars. So that's awesome. That's the car story that I have.
So when's the dealership going to open?
So our ribbon cutting is next week. It's May 21st is our ribbon cutting. We're a licensed dealer in New York State, and it took us over 6 months to get our license. So we opened up in the fall, but because I'm a professor, I work full time, there was no way we could have the event and the ribbon cutting until the semester was over. So I said, okay, 1 week after graduation, we got this, we can do it. So that's going to be the celebration. My husband does run the business full time. I support in the background with all of the business operations, revenue management, inventory management, and marketing. But he's there every day. I'm here every day on campus, and he's there. But on the weekends, you can find us at a car show or a race. We're either at a NASCAR race, a local race, or a car show. There's so much on the automotive side. It's interesting. So how our paths are crossing. So I'm a member of the Pocono Raceway Fan Council, which I had to apply for. I was so nervous that I wasn't going to be accepted, but I'm in. I love it. And it's all about building that motorsports brand. So the Dover race was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I had FDU alumni calling me, hey, are you going to be at the Dover race? I was like, yeah, of course. So, okay, we'll meet up. That's what it's all about. It's building that brand, and it's open to anyone. Hey, you're going to be there. I'll be there. I'll give you a tip. Let's hang out. I'll show you around. It's building that brand, and I'm doing the same thing for Pocono. It's just come enjoy the sport. It's just one of the best experiences out there. There's nothing like it. The wind, the sound, the feeling, the sun, I'm all in it.
I've done a few gigs for BMW. I have a BMW, so I've done a couple track days. It is just, oh my goodness, it is so much fun. Me and my brother did one last summer, was it? Where we took I don't even know what we took around the tracks. One of those GT3s. You just and you just rip. Hold on, what was the event in Georgia? The Savoy Automotive Museum.
Savoy Automotive Museum. I don't know it, but there's
really. Yeah, I'll send you some. I'll in a message. I'll send you some videos and all. It was. I mean, you name it. there was just a whole room of just Porsches from like the
Oh,
like, and but I think it just constantly changes and it's evolving and moving. And it was just one of those. There happened to be just a giant car show outside too. So,
that's
um,
awesome.
yeah, like this
It's
old
such a big
Benz.
part of American culture. Savoy Auto Museum. Um, yeah, is it a Porsche? It's a little.
No, that's a old, like what was this? It was an old Benz,
Oh,
like one
I
like
love it.
the long bodies looking like a old Rolls a little bit.
Okay, it's I can't see it on my
Yeah, I
end.
know. I have a weird
But
hang on.
no, that's super cool. I haven't been there. I try to travel to auto museums when I can and car shows when I can in the area. Like I'll go anywhere. The best one I went to was at Hendricks Motorsport in Charlotte, North Carolina, because I'm like that kind of fan. And my husband took his Trans Am. We drove it down there and led to many other connections, which is what it's all about. And so, like speaking about like me from being in higher education, and I know there's different parts of the country that have a stronger focus on automotive or motorsport management. I'm like so passionate about it, and I wish I could do something here in the Northeast, whether it be a class, a training program, something to do with automotive tourism, because what you just mentioned, you went to Georgia, you went to an automotive museum. That is automotive heritage tourism. That's traveling and doing something automotive related. And that I'm seeking an opportunity to do that, and I'd love to do it, you know, within my current role at the university in just automotive heritage tourism.
It's
And
just and what I love about the cars, and same with like, I do magic. So it's just like little like nichey things that just bring people together of different walks of lives. Doesn't matter age, race, gender, color, doesn't matter what. But like I just remember like at this car show, just standing next to wild cars with people and chatting with people who I would probably never talk with
yeah,
otherwise. But just because we're like, shooting the shit over like, yo, can you believe whether a car we agree with, disagree with, like it's just amazing the conversation, just a quick little like, then you see that person later and it's like, I don't know. Like it just creates these
yeah,
moments, these funny bonds of random people coming together.
random
It's
people coming
fantastic.
together. At that Hendrix show that I went to, I met someone and it turns out he's in event technology, and we were talking and he's like, "Oh, here's my card. I'd love to, you know, present to your students." Called him in, he zoomed in, he presented about what he does to within the event space, and he's in the event industry. He's managing the platforms of events. He's doing registrations. He's hosting those big virtual or hybrid conferences. I met him at a car show in North Carolina. And I didn't spill the beans. I was like, he was going through the presentation at the end. He's like, "Hey, do your students know how we connected?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh, tell them the story."
We
That's,
were both under a hood of a car,
yeah, we're just,
looking at the engine, checking out the spark plugs, and next thing we knew, there was a spark in our conversation which led us here. No, that is so cool. My dad has a '68 Vet pace car, but
ooh,
the we don't think it's a real pace car. We think we
okay.
got bamboozled a little bit, but it's still a fun thing
It's
to drive
fun.
around, and so slow, but it's so much fun. Like
It's
I
it's
think from what we've
all
been
about
told.
how you feel being in it and having that opportunity on a nice sunny day. Take your family for a ride, share that moment.
And what's neat is there's a lot of clubs I see that host their own cars and coffees and their own car meetups, and everybody comes and brings their cars, which I always think is super cool. Just one way to bring members of clubs together, together as well. So, um, yeah. Well, hey,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on.
Very
If you're
thankful for the
if
club
you're ever,
management
oh sorry,
industry.
didn't mean to
No, no,
interrupt.
just I'm very thankful for the club management industry and what they've done for our students. And now alumni are happily working in the industry. And it's just it's that journey. That's what it's all about. Is they came here as a student not knowing what they want to do. They met someone in club management, they received an opportunity, and they're on a successful path. And I'm very thankful for that, because that's what my role is to accompany that student along their work experience journey and help them cross that finish line. And then now I'm their biggest cheerleader still and keep in touch with them. So I'm thankful for the opportunity within the clubs.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love seeing, just through LinkedIn and chatting with people as well, how people come into the club industry. So like, sometimes people in hospitality, they might be in clubs for years and then find hotel or something else, or they find their way back to a club because they did some club stuff maybe in college and then they went off to hotels and they're like, hey, I think clubs are a way. And just how it all kind of circles back and they find their way, and being able to use and learn and take their different experiences and bring them in and use their powers for good. But thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hope you all enjoyed that. I know I did. If you're interested in learning more, connect with Kane over on LinkedIn. If you're enjoying the content, like, share, subscribe. It means the absolute world and costs you nothing. If you haven't done yet, sign up for our newsletter. Stay up to date on all of our episodes and content coming out. Head over to privateclubradio.com/newsletter, and I'll also send you my top 3 episodes I've done so far. That's this episode. Until next time, catch y'all on Flippity Flip.